Today we continue our lesson in chapter 4 and we are in section 1 doing lesson 3. For the last two lessons we learned about the Sahara, which is a vast and varied land, and we also learned about the Trans-Saharan Trade Network that is in this humongous desert. And today we will continue our lesson with the things that motivated these merchants to take the risk of crossing the Sahara. And these commodities are gold, salt, and slaves. Go ahead, have your textbooks ready, or go to our website and log into Clever and Cengage Learning. And from there, we are doing Unit 2, and we are in Chapter 4, Section 1, and we are specifically in Lesson 3. The objective of this lesson is to analyze the importance of gold, salt, and slaves as commodities of trade in this particular part of the world, in the continent of Africa, and during this time. And this chapter's essential question is, what impact did trade and technology have on North and West Africa? Trade increased the demand for gold, salt, and slaves in North and West Africa. So this lesson discusses the sources and demand for these commodities. Now let's go to the review and assess questions first. Number 1, reading check. Why were salt and gold such valuable resources? Number 2, sequence of events. What happened to greatly increase the slave trade? And number 3, main ideas. Identify main ideas and details. According to the text, what happened to slaves who reached North Africa, or maybe specifically even parts of the Mediterranean region? Two of Africa's most valuable commodities or trade goods were gold and salt. Beginning in the 400s, these goods were traded for hundreds of years. So the Western Sudan, the name of all northern Africa west of Lake Chad, was especially rich in gold deposits. Gold was a desirable trading commodity for a number of reasons. Gold was minted into coins and used to finance trading caravans. In time, the Kingdom of Ghana, which arose in West Africa, became known as the Land of Gold. The geographer Al-Bakir described an 11th century court in Ghana where gold was used on everything from embroidered caps to swords and dog collars, so meaning it is quite common. To enhance gold's value, Ghanaian rulers attended to keep the sources of their gold as a secret. So if there is a limited supply of gold, then it becomes desired by a lot of people, and if it's rare, it becomes expensive. On the other hand, salt was worth almost as much as gold. Before there were refrigerators to keep food cold, people used salt to preserve meat and other foods. In some areas of the world, preservation with salt is still practiced. In much of the ancient world, salt was rare, so its scarcity or small supply made salt very valuable or expensive. And because of this, the slave trade increased dramatically when Muslim traders arrived in North Africa in 600s. However, the desert's vast expanse always limited the slave trade. Many slaves died during the terrible journey, and the survivors were exchanged for goods, especially horses. A good horse was extremely valuable in the desert and cost a large number of slaves. Well, obviously, camels are better than horses in long-distance journey. While some slaves were sold for labor, others satisfied a growing demand for slaves in the Mediterranean world. There, slaves were likely to become domestic servants, soldiers, artisans, and even important government officials. Nonetheless, these people had been taken from their families and they were cruelly treated with little hope of ever returning home. It was a particular brutal aspect of Africa's history. Now, to summarize, both salt and gold were used in trade to obtain other commodities. Salt was needed to preserve meat and other foods, And obviously, it also enhances the flavor of food. Secondly, the arrival of Muslim traders in North Africa greatly increased the slave trade. And slaves who reach North Africa often become domestic servants, soldiers, artisans, and even government officials. Go ahead, answer the review and assess questions. Thank you.